Welcome to day one of the Gateway Cup. This is tour of Lafayette, Tour de Lafayette, around Lafayette Park in St. Louis, Missouri. Race is pretty open, four-corner square. Watch this guy right here. He's about to send it off the front into a little breakaway. So much room to move up on this course, and there would be a lot of bunching and a lot of surging. Here we go into what is eventually the break of the day, with these three guys rolling off the front, and I just kind of sat up on the front here and let it go. This happened a few times, and this was the one that actually made it. A little bit later on, Tanner Ward from Miami Blazers here on the left, he kind of got on the front and then did his little swoop to the left, kind of looking back, pretending he's pulling off, and then ramped it up really hard into this start-finish straight. You can see these roads are wide open. 1, 2, 3, 4 lanes and 2 bike lanes, so plenty of room to move up at all times, but the speed is super high. You can see we're going 32 miles an hour right now for really not much power at all. Here goes Tanner off the front from the Blazers, so now some guys are going to start coming around, string it out, kind of bring it back as we come through the start-finish and into the next left-hander. This was, super fast race. We weren't expecting a breakaway to go, but if it was going to happen, it was going to have to be really committed, and the field was going to have to sit up behind. And I'm kind of sensing that at this moment, that might be happening right now with those big surges from Tanner, and once they catch him, sitting up just like this. So I'm going to go ahead and do a bridge across to this move, and you can see them entering that second corner right there, all three of them. I caught them the next corner, so third corner, and then just kind of led off. We were off the front for about 8 laps, so about 16 minutes until getting caught by the field, who was doing the typical surge and lull pattern. Eventually, we were just in the field again, kind of waiting for the sprint, so collecting our guys together and moving up where we could, kind of defending the wheels that were possible. This was happening a lot, where people would chop the wheel and then that guy just kind of scrubbed a lot of speed into it, so I'm having to do a little surge. During this type of race, there's a lot of guys who not used to being like chopping up corners and in the front, so normally in a selective race that's a little more difficult, they wouldn't be at the front, but here they get a chance to move up, low cost move up, and oftentimes there are a lot of mistakes and it gets pretty hectic. Towards the end of the race, I was doing a lot of the bunching up with the swarm coming up the inside, and teams were trying to coordinate and getting separated, and then trying to last-ditch get back to their guys. Here you can see Sam's getting squeezed over, and I'm trying to catch back up to him, but get separated from the wheel. Those guys are, separating us and then bumping into other trains, so a lot of bumping going on. Eventually I got back onto Sam's wheel there, and then we're going to try and move back up to our other guys who we've been separated from. I'm sure a lot of the other teams were dealing with similar organizational errors, and eventually we were able to get back together. Here Blazers is actually on the front. They took up the front for a lot of the last laps here, and eventually other teams would start taking over for them too. So I'm going to hop on John's wheel here. We're going to try and keep our train together the best we could. A lot of our guys were just hanging out in the back, relaxing for the race, so we knew we had some fresh legs. We just had to keep everybody as fresh as possible for those last 10 laps in which we plan to organize and move up the best we could. You can see there's a lot of barging and bumping going on here. A lot of people chopping wheels, trying to stay on their own trains, and a lot of teams trying to move up together, and a lot of individuals trying to move up alone. So getting very hectic, a lot of dive bombing, and just trying to keep your head up and looking what's happening above. Into that first corner, you might have seen a little jarring of the camera. There was a good bump right in the middle of the turn, and you could get pushed pretty wide if you were taking it fast, possibly drop a chain, which I saw happen once or twice. We're trying to get back together here. It's still really far out. I think there's probably 15 laps to go at this point, but the swarm is kind of getting a little dangerous. I can see Peter on the left side of this Blazers train here, but there's still a few guys from the train. I think this might have been Estevez on the back. So I want to get over to him, but you can't cut through the train like that. Eventually, yeah, you can see I got chopped off by the Blazers train there doing the little inside-outside swoop, and then the swarm around me. I actually rubbed his rear wheel for a little bit, which was a little hectic. So I'm going to have to get back up to my guys. Blazers had it taken over for quite a while, and then just kind of watching other teams like American Cycling Group get together and communicate with each other. And we were also trying to do the same thing. ButcherBox was up there coordinating, and then what other teams? There were a few other teams like Texas Roadhouse and Empire also trying to get organized on the front, but the chaos that is occurring is it makes it pretty difficult to stay cohesive. I did see ACG doing their little roll call towards the end of the race with Danny kind of calling out names and everybody responding, which I thought was kind of cool, and a tactic that is used pretty often, but the way they did it was pretty neat because they did have all their guys there. You can see right now it's just me, Peter, and John together, and then I noticed Peter loses a little bit of that wheel, or a few wheels, so I'm going to try and move everybody back up on the outside here, which was obviously a good place to move up because there's plenty of space on either side of the course. Later on, Peter is going to take one of his last pulls, he's trying to keep us up front, and then he'll pull off there. So now it's me, John, and Sam. Ethan, our other teammate, he actually broke his steerer tube a few weeks ago, so he lined up with a broken steerer tube, which he didn't realize until a few laps in, and then he had to pull out. Here we have me and John Heinlein on my wheel. We're trying to, stay together, stay up. Other teams like, who you just saw there, Lucas Burgoyne, and the rest of his Aviator teammates, I think Iman was really the other guy I saw there. They're starting to move up. We haven't seen them for the whole race, so they've undoubtedly got fresh legs. And defending your wheel to guys with fresh legs like that was actually pretty challenging, especially when they're willing to take lines through corners like that. Here I'm on Noah Granigan's wheel from the Denver Disruptors, and there's Sam actually moved up into that corner. So we see Sam, our sprinter, ready to go. I'm going to hop on his wheel and then try to move him up the best I can, but as soon as I hop on his wheel, I think Noah didn't really want to get crowded in, so he pushed me pretty wide, but it actually worked well because I could hop on Noah's wheel and then Sam's on mine, so we essentially have another lead out guy in the group, and he was a good wheel to be on. Later on, I would try to move Sam up a little farther, just get in a little more comfortable spot. Right behind the leaders' trains is a little spot we call the bubble. I guess the back of the leader's train and a little bit behind, in which you're a little safer than you would be in any other part of the peloton, and you're not having to do any effort like you would farther up. So that's a good spot to be, and it's the spot we're in right here. This is one lap to go, so coming under the start finish, we're in a great spot. Sam's close to me, he's on my wheel I think, and my teammate John is also there. ACG is on the inside, so we know that's a fast lead out train. Try and follow that, hold on to their wheel, but right there, ButcherBox actually got kind of pinched in and ended up hitting the deck pretty hard at pretty high speed. I did my best to try and avoid it, but that hole didn't quite open up in enough time, and you can see a lot of guys weren't looking up to see exit routes. I decided there wasn't an exit route for me, so my race was over. In the end of the race, Sam and John, my teammates, would actually be pretty far up there, and I think they were kind of communicating with me, telling me that a lot of the guys were doing the dive bombing of corners. This race really lended itself to kind of sketchier racing, but in the end, Dusan and Danny into the last corner. Had a little bumping, and then it was everything was fair, but Sam kind of lulled back from that. I think he ended up fifth, and then Para would actually win the race from ACG here on the left. Dusan Kalaba from ButcherBox there in the center, and then just to the right of him, Danny Estevez in, I think, fourth, and then third, Cesar Marte on the right. Yeah, fast race. We had a lot of swarming, but cool race to be in nonetheless, and got to end with a pretty exciting crash. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you tomorrow for the next one.